The Stratos Ensemble is a band that plays a kind of special hybrid of electroacoustic and ambient mixed with jazz and rock and fusion under a canopy of a very poetic gesture, I suppose. It's kind of an all-inclusive format that's based on kind of a textural and an intensity magnifying approach rather than sections and arrangements.
There's an interesting history of improvisation, especially group improvisation. I mean, the Stratos Ensemble is a group, an ensemble of changing. It's been a changing group of musicians that's evolved to its current version, hosted by Dean, and it's kind of committed to the ongoing art of collective improvisation, and it's coming from many sides and different types of music, everything from rock psychedelia to the jazz avant-garde.
The interesting thing about playing with the Stratos Ensemble is, for me, the fact that our music is completely interactive, responsive, and almost indeterminate, in the sense that we all respond to each other and collectively improvise in order to arrive at music, not preconceive anything beforehand.
Can't call it jazz. You would never call it fusion. You wouldn't call it anything. It's just whatever the hell it is. But it's just a mixture. And so I like that idea of expanding stuff like that. I just like being open to be able to do whatever I want to be able to do. The situation that you can grow in. And so, that's one thing that's really good about playing in this band.
I love the project because it has just, in order to happen, it has to have a natural sense of combustion between the people. It has to happen dynamically, in real times with little or no coercion. Usually it will happen spectacularly or not at all.
We integrate modal and melodic approaches in what we're doing. Because Stratos Ensemble's format is more of an all-inclusive thing, having the freedom to play traditionally, non-traditionally, experimentally, song form, idiomatic, non-idiomatic. That's how we view this music. It's not in the slightest bit experimental. There's a lot of complexity and a lot of thoughtfulness and a lot of musical prowess and ability and designs that go into performing this music and conceptualizing it as it's being performed.
It is hard to explain for me something that is really defying any explanation. You can look at it in terms of the music that has come before and our influences. Conceptually, I don't feel like it's an entirely new idea, but it's new in the sense of its current instrumentation, in which we incorporate electronica and ambient music.
The dominant shaping instrument of sort of the new frontier of our time is the computer, and the computer has done as much to shape the sound of contemporary music as the electric guitar did in the 60s and 70s, and the saxophones did in the 30s and 40s. And yet, as of yet, the computer's used in all kinds of, you know, production enhancement ways, but primarily with pop music or with different things that very seldom has it doesn't have any history of being integrated into a group improvisational context. And I think that's what's unique about the Stratos Ensemble.
An approach in interaction with the ambient sound or sound design that Dean is creating. And the interesting thing is that we can always default back to interacting with this underlying texture or sound, which does, in a sense, prompts ideas within individual players.
This latest album that we just finished, Accident at Clear Lake, it's kind of more exhibitionistic than we would usually get.
You can paint a painting or watch a movie in your own head, in your own brain, your own imagination. What this music really triggers is your own imagination as a listener, much as it is for us as performers. As a listener, you can also determine your own visuals and memories and things that you think about and concepts. It could perhaps inspire other artists, such as painters or visual artists, to paint something different because it triggers a different emotion or perhaps a different part of their brain where their art sort of stems from.
Somebody said toolbox. You got a toolbox, so you're always learning. You've got tools, and you just have an opportunity to use those tools. You don't use them all the tools all the time. You just use some of them.
We've only really just started. I mean, these are the basic players of our main lineup. As time goes on, we will integrate more players of different ilks and different cultures and figure out very innovative ways to integrate.
A sound design that evolves over time, much like Indian classical music. In that sense, we're playing a more spiritual music and not something that is necessarily designed to entertain.
Listening to, and it's opening up a really interesting area that I think should be pursued further. It's an interesting expansion of, you know, in the modern music scene and what's going on.
Our exploration, it's purely based on following a focal point, you know, and where that bouncing ball goes, we run after it, and from beginning to end, that's what makes for a journey, both as a performer and a listener.